And tonight from Death Valley, it's a homecoming for the national champions. The Clemson Tigers inviting Boston College to town.
You've earned the right.
And the Tigers are perfect 7-0 and have an even more impressive run of perfection. 22 consecutive victories. And they are moments away from that famed run down the hill in front of 80,000 fans here at Death Valley. Though the weather could be a factor later on tonight, they are expecting some rain showers, maybe some thunderstorms after 10 p.m. sometime in the second half. But Clemson about ready to thrill their fans here. One of the great scenes in all of college football. The very short ride, just a couple of minutes on those buses. And they assemble on the hill and make that dramatic run down onto the field, with Dabo Swinney leading the charge. Dabo's team coming in ranked number 4 in the country. Oddly enough, they have actually slipped from number 1 to number 4, despite winning by about 28 points per game. Almost exactly what they did a season ago in running the table. He's got them fired up as the Tigers are ready to come on down the hill. And they're home again to take on Boston College. When he was the interim coach back in 2008, it was Boston College that became his first victim. His first win as a head coach was against BC. So they will always have a special place, very fond place in his heart. Now it's a wonderful, wonderful scene here, and a huge crowd on hand. They could care less about what the weather forecasters say. They are ready to see the Tigers back home here in the Valley, as they say, to take on Boston College. And BC with an outstanding running attack is certainly going to want to keep it on the ground tonight. That is their best chance, certainly, at hanging with the Tigers and their high-flying offense, one of the great passing attacks when they get it going anywhere in the country. And here comes the Clemson Tigers. Dabo outrunning the Tiger, so his energy is sky high. And of course, Trevor Lawrence and his outstanding group of wide receivers, and one of the great running backs in the country, of course, in Travis Etienne. They can pile up points with anybody. The only criticism right now about Clemson really has been, for the most part, the interceptions that Trevor Lawrence has unleashed. 8 of them. That's twice as many as he did all of last year. That's not apparently of grave concern here, because when you look at a game like just last week, the way he bounced back after a couple of interceptions, he wound up having a tremendous game. So the kickoff is moments away. Clemson and Boston College from Death Valley.
And Walker has a wall. Galloping free all the way home. Amari Rodgers gets the edge and explodes. Touchdown, Clemson.
Unbelievable efforts by the backs running through contact. A really physical game. Our staff and our kids, they're jacked.
This is old school. Big boy pads, big boy football this week.
Halfback staring at some green grass, nothing but a left turn staring up a dirt track.
We are pumped to be back in the Valley. Another night game, a homecoming. It'll be a lot of fun.
Welcome to the weekend, welcome to the party, welcome to the light at the end of a hallway.
Done a lot of good things. It seems like anytime we do anything bad, that's all anybody wants to focus on. That's just kind of comes with the territory.
Talking about football, talking about game day, talking about good friends sitting on tailgates, talking about shots all around, y'all. Come on in, where you been? Welcome to the weekend.
And we welcome you to ACC Network Primetime Football, presented by Geico. Dave O'Brien alongside Tim Hasselbeck, Katie George on the way in just a couple of moments. Thanks so much for dropping by. Everybody knows that Trevor Lawrence has a lot of toys to play with, some of the great receivers on any coast.
You know, you look at them on offense, the biggest mismatch in this contest is their ability to beat you with their skilled players. And I think it starts with the running back position in Travis Etienne. He's one of the best in the country. They do a good job blocking for him up front. He runs with great power and can take it the distance. And then how about Justin Ross, the sophomore wide receiver, can go up and fight for the football like anybody, as can T. Higgins on the other side. And then you throw in Amari Rodgers, who is dynamic inside, great run after the catch. And of course, the trigger man is Trevor Lawrence. He does have to eliminate some of those interceptions, but he has been good on the ground, and he has certainly created some big plays down the field.
Well, that's what they get, right? Big plays. The offense this season averaging 7 yards per play. That is number 10 in the country. And from on the mindset of the Tigers tonight, let's toss it down to Katie George.
Well, the Tigers have now won 22 straight games and yet continue to drop in the polls. You think that would cause some kind of an alarm, but Dabo Swinney is not panicking, and neither is his team. He is using an analogy, though, that his players can relate to. Most car accidents take place within 1 mile of the destination. Dabo says that's because drivers get comfortable. They lose focus, they start texting, or put one hand on the wheel. He wants his players to keep both hands on the wheel at all times at 10 and 2 o'clock. If the Tigers stay locked in and focused on the team in front of them each week and not let outside rankings have an effect, Dabo believes there's no need to worry about that number 4 next to the Clemson name, Dave.
All right, Katie, thank you very much. Thank you for the update and also the driving tip. Always very important, 2 hands on the wheel. Boston College won the toss, so BC has elected to receive to get this one underway. And that means a lot of touches early by A.J. Dillon, but also a young quarterback, untested in this kind of environment. Dennis Grosselli has taken over for Anthony Brown, the 7th all-time passer in BC history, out for the year because of a knee injury.
And the former walk-on has earned a scholarship over the summer. And talking to Steve Addazio and his staff, it's kind of surprised. They seem to be a little bit more concerned about their defense than they are their young quarterback getting the start in this environment.
Well, they say the team has an eerie confidence in him. He's unflappable. We're about to find out here at Death Valley. And his first call of the evening, he's going to hand it off. Expect that man to touch it a lot. A.J. Dillon, number 2 in the nation with 968 rushing yards and looking to break some records. That one a 7-yard gain right out of the gate. And he needs 2 more rushing touchdowns to become BC's all-time leader. On the jump pass, it's going to be incomplete. Good quarterback pressure there by Isaiah Simmons, big number 11.
And Isaiah Simmons is just such a good athlete. He can run. He's got long arms. He covers so much space. They typically like to play him in the middle of the field, but facing this Boston College attack, he will end up in the box much, much more than he normally is.
3rd and 3, the crowd into it immediately. Rossell looking to throw, and that one going to be tipped and out of play, incomplete. Intended for the tight end Garrison. Tim, they love to throw to the tight ends.
They have a lot of good tight ends. They think they can create some matchups with their tight ends, but Tanner Muse up to the task here, just trying to run a little bit of a pick play, and Muse does a good job of fighting over the top and contact right when the football gets there. That's a nice defensive play on 3rd down.
So BC to punt. Amari Rodgers back around to 30. And very capable. Ripping off a long one, but a fair catch right around the 30-yard line. So that's where Trevor will get this offense going after a 38-yard punt. And you just tick off the receiving talent. T. Higgins, Justin Ross, Overton, Agata, Powell, not to mention Rodgers and Ladson, and Travis Etienne, who can really catch the football.
So many weapons, and you know, last year it felt like he had 2 hands on the wheel the entire year. This year he's trying to create more offense with those big play wide receivers.
On the hand of, a flea flicker. Going to try a trick play right away on a long pass. There's a flag thrown here. That's going to be obvious interference. So that'll go against the corner Maitre.
Pass interference, number 3, defense. 15-yard penalty and an automatic. First down.
Really what they do is they're going to stock block to the post here. They're going to double move outside here. What they're trying to do is get influence on these safeties with the run action. It's exactly what they get. And really he has either wide receiver wide open. Decides to go for Ross, just underthrows him a bit.
And on the run, the handoff right up the middle. It's Etienne. Now, 2 years ago against Boston College, he had his very first career 100-yard rushing game. That one goes for 6.
You know, Dave, it's interesting. You go back to the Florida State game for Clemson. Trick play early in that game. You get the sense that Clemson wants to jump on top of people, offensively, get a lead, and then play with that lead.
Etienne, a little bit of room here on the side as he rumbles out of bounds. That goes for 10.
And you mentioned Etienne, Dave, just a second ago as a receiver. They think he's an excellent receiver, and that's just too much speed for Mike Palmer in space. He's able to turn the corner.
Went for 192 rushing yards a week ago. 1st and 10. The Tigers on the move. And out of the gun, Lawrence. Throws quickly over the middle. That's Ross tied up. Justin Ross eventually grabbed by Elijah Jones. That'll be a gain of 10 yards as well and another 1st down.
It's interesting. You don't see a whole lot of empty from Clemson. They used to do it a lot with Deshaun Watson. They went empty there. A little bit like what Kansas tried to do to Boston College. Spread you out, make your defensive backs cover in space. Clear advantage for Clemson.
Etienne, big hole, gaping hole up the middle. Taken down inside the 10. He almost went all the way. Stopped by Palmer. And into the end zone. That one gains 19.
There's a zone read run. Defensive end comes up the field, and Travis Etienne just ends up splitting it. And if you have your safeties trying to tackle Etienne, it's going to end up being a long night.
He came into the game 219 yards shy of 1,000. Looks like he wants to get it in the first half. 1st and goal. Etienne trying to get the edge, but he's dragged down. Now, Boston College last defeated a top 5 opponent November 2nd, 2002, and they upset number 4 Notre Dame 14-7. So they have lost 12 consecutive games to top 5 opponents coming into play tonight. 2nd and goal, 2 wideouts on the left side. Lawrence will keep it, trying to scamper inside the 5-yard line.
You just feel like the quarterback keep on the zone read is really starting to grow in this offense. We know that Lawrence is a tremendous passer. I think he's a better than advertised runner, and that's shown up this year, Dave.
6'6", 220. He's about 20 pounds heavier than a year ago. That brilliant freshman season where he could do no wrong. Now 3rd and goal for the Tigers. Dixon in at the running back. Looking for the end zone, now stepping up and dragged down. He's taken down on the play by Brandon Barlow, who made the stop. So Clemson denied on the sack.
You're going to look at Trevor misses one here. They're going to run a little kind of rub play here, and Higgins is wide open. Trevor's working that way and just misses him. There isn't anyone within 5 yards of T. Higgins. And Trevor Lawrence just comes off of it a little bit too early. Boston College obviously fortunate there.
So Potter on for the field goal, and he will drill that to put Clemson in front 3-0 in front of the 80,000 here at Death Valley. Well, Tigers strike first as they kick the field goal. However, Tim, was T. Higgins as open as you can be?
Yeah, he's telling Jeff Scott, hey, I was wide open. Normally, wide receivers are full of it when they say they're open, Dave. But you had 3 guys go to Amari Rodgers, and there isn't anyone within 5 yards of T. Higgins. He had a touchdown there, and would not be surprised if they come back to something similar to see if Boston College can make the right adjustment.
Spoken like a lifelong quarterback. They're always full of it when they say they're wide open.
Except for when they are open.
So Boston College trying to answer. And we shall see with the young quarterback if they can do that. BC coming in 4-3, 2-2 in the ACC, and fresh out pretty impressive victory, 45-24. They thumped NC State. That's one the Eagles badly needed after back-to-back losses to Wake Forest and Louisville. Boston College rushing for 429 yards in that one. NC State entered that game first in the ACC in rushing defense. So you talk about establishing the running attack. They certainly did it against the Wolfpack. Tigers, a different story, perhaps. And a first down carry. Pretty good size hole there for Dillon. Taken down by Chad Smith on the stop.
And I think that's what Boston College needs to do. It's a power run. They down block, pull the guard, 250-pound back coming downhill. That's the type of run they can have success with.
A lot of running attacks tend to be on the plodding side as far as tempo. Not this one. They want to get it and go.
Yeah, and I think they feel like there's an advantage with their personnel to go fast. And if you can sneak a run in every now and then without Clemson getting set, then I think they even have a better chance to get into that rhythm of that offense.
Well, first down and 10. And a handoff here for Flowers as he will bang it out to around the 40-yard line. Stopped by Skalski, the outstanding linebacker. He picks up 5.
And Steve Adazio, you're looking at there, talked to us about, hey, we're going to run the power game, but we're going to sprinkle in a little bit of fly sweep, jet sweep, like we just saw there from Zay Flowers, to keep that Clemson defense honest.
Dillon again trying to bounce outside, but they swarm him. He's not going anywhere. First man to get him is Niles Pinckney. He got the penetration. So they lose 2 yards on that carry.
It's a great job by Pinckney. He gets the penetration there, and Skalski, and then Logan Rudolph, all these guys kind of, rally to the party. Now you get into a known passing situation, which is tough for BC.
We'll see how Grosel responds to this. Has some time, rifles it right down the center. Nearly picked off. Incomplete. So they'll be punting again here.
Yeah, and this is basically a hope and a prayer. You look at Grosel, he's looking to his right, and at the last minute, without even really looking, he tries to force one of the grinds, and he's fortunate that Nolan Turner wasn't there to pick it off. And I think, when you look at Dennis Grosel, having him pass from inside the pocket, he can get swallowed up in there. Would not surprise me to see BC try to move the pocket more to give him a better shot to have success as a passer.
Now Clemson back on the attack. 9:04 to go here in the first. Up 3-0.
ACC Network Primetime Football is presented by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And in part by Food Lion, the official grocer of the ACC.
Homecoming weekend here means the construction of homecoming displays in nearby Bowman Field. This year's theme, Welcome to the Dynasty. Speaking of dynasties, last night Dabo and his players joined in the homecoming festivities.
We're vlogging out here. Gamma Phi, Alpha B, looking strong, and ATO looking strong. Dudes around here. How's it going?
Dabo, with all that energy, certainly didn't hold back in describing the first quarter performance of Trevor Lawrence against Louisville last week. His 2 interceptions as the game got underway, and he said that was stupid. He said he was about as bad in the first quarter as you can be. Later, Tim, very complimentary about the way he settled in. He actually had a very solid game after those couple of picks.
Yeah, and one of the things that's really impressive about Dabo to me is that he coaches his star players really hard. He's not afraid to be critical of them, and I think that he's seen some of his best players respond to him coaching those players hard.
Does say sometimes about Trevor, I think he's too confident in his arm and in his receivers. They layer it out to the side here, and that's complete to Rodgers to pick up the first down. That's a gain of 15 yards on that pass.
Boston College rotates the coverage there. They have Mike Palmer on Amari Rodgers, and that's a matchup that just favors Clemson big time. And I think that Clemson will take advantage of it every time they get it.
On the toss sweep, ATM room on that right side. So he'll gain another first.
You have Joseph Sparacio, number 34 for BC, playing in space, and he's basically unblocked, but that's a linebacker playing against a 3 wide receiver set, and you just see the difference in speed, and that's Etienne getting outside basically the nickel defender, a linebacker in this case, and able to turn the corner.
It was such a tremendous weapon. Lawrence wants to throw, however. He's going to go deep down the left side. A lot of contact there, and another flag. That's going to be interference on Mike Palmer. Now trying to stay with one of the top wide receivers in the country. That is tough duty.
Pass interference, number 18, defense. 15-yard penalty and an automatic. First down.
Looks like they get Palmer with that little grab there at the end. I'm not sure there was enough there to throw a flag, especially with the way the ball's thrown out of bounds by Trevor Lawrence. But you see what happens. Mike Palmer, who wants to come up and tackle, he's a smart football player, but getting him in the passing game against Amari Rodgers or Justin Ross or T. Higgins for that matter is something that favors Clemson.
Second pass interference of the night for BC. Stepping up and a lob pass here and another flag on the play. Intended for T. Higgins. That time it was Brandon Sebastian trying to keep up with him. But another flag.
Pass interference. Defense, number 10. 15-yard penalty and an automatic. First down.
3 of those already, Tim.
It's actually a pretty good job by Sebastian, and I'm not sure that that's PI either. If that's how the officials are going to call this game in the secondary, that's a massive advantage to Clemson. I think Sebastian did a nice job. On the other side of that, the touch by Trevor Lawrence, you see the different kind of throws he has in the toolbox.
Another inside the 20 again. Lawrence to keep. Plenty of room to operate. Short pass. He connects with Luke Price, the tight end, inside the 5. Stopped by Elijah Jones, but here come the Tigers again, first and goal.
That's big-time quarterback play. On move the pocket plays, the quarterback should always continue to push the perimeter to draw the defense in. That's exactly what Trevor does there.
Well, he's sharp early in this one, right? 4 for 4. And trying to bang in their first touchdown of the ball game here against the Eagles. ETN straight ahead, dives in, and he is in for the touchdown. From 3 yards out for the first touchdown of the contest for the Tigers. ETN off to an excellent start tonight, already 40 yards. And the lunge, the dive to get in. So a 9-0 start for Clemson. They came in as 34-point favorites over BC. And that will make it 10-0. 6:57 to go here in the first.
This is power football by Travis Etienne. Unblocked middle linebacker John Lamont in the hole. Does not matter. Etienne runs right through him. He's able to push it into the end zone.
Welcome back to ACC Network Primetime Football presented by Geico. Clemson out in front 10-0 over Boston College. Tigers have won 22 in a row, the ACC's second longest winning streak ever. And somehow the only losing they are doing is in the polls so far, despite winning by nearly the identical number of a year ago, 28 points a game, as opposed to 28.6. Now, the ACC, the headlines. Terrific win from Miami. Gritty victory over Pitt today, snapping Pitt's 4-game winning streak.
And how about Jaron Williams coming off the bench, playing great, to come from behind victory there.
Louisville 28-21. Hawkins going for 136 yards. What an ending to Duke and North Carolina. Jackson with the jump pass. It was intercepted by Surratt. That's how the game ended.
That one was crazy. Creative play call at the end of the game, but credit North Carolina's defense for the big-time stop.
BC looking to get that running attack going, and straight ahead they come at you with David Bailey, who went for 181 yards rushing against NC State last week. And another thing he can do, he can toss a pass once in a while. They will institute a trick play, not frequently, but once in a while. He tossed a 16-yard touchdown pass against Wake Forest.
And I think BC's going to have to do some of that big power run game. But then when Clemson decides to dedicate guys to stop those big backs, Dave, exactly what you're talking about. Some type of wrinkle to try to fool Clemson and get a big play.
Gain of 1 there. Well, it's a physical, punishing, rushing attack. These two backs, number 1 in the nation as far as a combined rushing attack. Bailey and Dillon. Rossell on 3rd down and 6. Going to roll right and look upfield. And he fires and nearly intercepted off the hands of Wallace. Although there is a flag down on the play.
Holding. Number 26. Offense. Penalties declined. 4th down.
So 4th down and another punt here for the Eagles.
And you can see what BC was doing. They were trying to roll the quarterback out, move the pocket to give him a window. Dennis Rossell is really fortunate that that ball isn't picked off by Kayvon Wallace because he threw it right to him. That's about as bad of a start when you just look at this for Boston College as it can be. I'm not sure they got the ball past the 35-yard line yet.
Yep, 2nd 3 and out for BC. Rogers on the back pedal inside the 20. He wants to run it. And they cover him very quickly. Takes a pretty good hit there. That was actually David Bailey. A 51-yard punt, 5-yard return. And before the game, the great Bobby Bowden. And we met him in the office of Dabo Swinney on Friday. Looks great. 90 years old.
It was incredible getting an opportunity to spend some time with it, Dave. I know you enjoyed it. I certainly did as well. And there were a lot of wins in that office
sure were.
with Coach Bowden and Coach Swinney. And pretty cool moment, I think, for both of these head coaches tonight to spend a little time with them before the game.
A lot of wins, a lot of national championships. Dabo's gunning for another one. This pass is going to be complete. Rip off a long one here to Higgins. Higgins still moving down that right side. Missed tackle on the play, and that opened up a lot of ground.
And Max Richardson is right there to make the play. See the inside linebacker. He diagnoses it. He's there to make the tackle on Higgins. But Higgins, for all that we talk about in terms of his speed and ability down the field, strong player running through the tackle of a 230-pound linebacker to create a big play.
They gain 21 yards. 1st down and 10. On the run, it's Dixon. Dixon, huge hole. Cutting back to the sideline. Now cuts inside. Terrific blocking to open up those gaps. That goes for 32.
Yeah, you look at Dixon. You got Moose unblocked, number 8 in the hole. No one's there to account for him. And he's not even down in two-hand touch, Dave. I mean, it just the speed on the edge for Boston College defense right now is just way too much.
And Lynn Dixon weaving his way for 32 yards. Pass complete. That one caught by Overton. Overton heading to the end zone, and he's in for another touchdown. That didn't take long, and that goes for 22 yards and a touchdown. They just come at you so quickly, Tim.
They absolutely do. When you look at what Boston College is trying to do, they're playing a lot of 3 linebacker groupings on defense. And so when you try to do that against the speed of Clemson, especially when you think about their wide receivers in space, again, it was Moose again in space. And that's why Overton is able to run after the catch for the score.
Clemson on top, 17-0. Lawrence really spreading it around.
He certainly is. 6 for 6 in terms of throwing the ball out on that drive. You see it there to Overton in space. Good block down the field. And a walk-in score for the Clemson offense.
Tiger hard at work, already 17-0. Clemson in command here against Boston College. We talked about last year and this year and why Clemson would be dropping at all. Of course, they started the season as the preseason number 1. They have dipped to number 4. It's hard to figure when you look at the hard data, Tim, because it's almost identical from a year ago.
Yeah, the only thing that's different is the quarterback's thrown a couple more interceptions. If you just look at everything else, Dabo's team's the same this year as it was last year, and I think that it's probably frustrating to him. I'm not sure that he would admit it, but I think he would rather people worry about who they are rather than who they play. That seems to be the message that he's giving to his team, and I think there's probably some credibility coming from Dabo when you think about that and the success that his team has had in the run that they have been on, including this season.
They said we're not trying to win a beauty pageant every week. We're trying to win the football game, and he feels like they're doing their job. Oh, tremendous catch here. Hunter Long, the tight end, who is the top receiver on the BC Eagles.
And BC needed that big time, as you see. Long get down the field, and this is on Isaiah Simmons. So you just get a sense of how good that throw is and what a great job Hunter Long does of keeping his speed up and going to make a play on the ball.
He can go and do that. Very explosive player. And one of 4 tight ends who have caught a pass this season for Boston College. That run by Dillon goes for 1 yard.
You just look at the score, 17-0. Boston College is not built to play from behind. And so they need to come up with something here. Otherwise, this could turn on them quickly.
2nd and 9 for Grossell. He's completed one pass. Has a man open down the left sideline, but he did not see him as he's taken down. A gain of 4. It had a receiver down that left side.
Up top, he's got a wide receiver wide open. Clemson busts and Grossell as he's getting outside the pocket. I'm surprised he didn't pick him up. You probably have a walk-in touchdown.
Yeah, that was Kobe White. On the handoff, Dillon, he is stacked up, shy of the first. Stopped by Wallace. Gain of 4 yards on that rush. So it brings up 4th down and 1 for the Eagles. Brent Venables, the outstanding defensive coordinator, attempting to hold an opponent below 300 yards for an 8th consecutive game. On the handoff, it's into the middle of the line as they'll pick up the first by A.J. Dillon. Dillon, who plays at about 247, somewhere in there?
I think he's trying to stay away from 250. He plays at 247. He runs like he's about 260, and that is not a highlight run. That is an outstanding run right there because they're running a power play into the, basically off tackle, but he's stayed tight, understanding the down and distance, able to pick up the first down.
53 yards away from becoming their all-time leading rusher, and another pass for Long, the tight end. He's a favorite target, regardless of who the quarterback is for the Eagles. Eventually stopped by Wallace, but that gains 9. So it'll be 2nd and 1.
Play action game, finding your tight ends right now working for BC. Right there, Long wide open because Isaiah Simmons busts in coverage and decided to rush the quarterback.
Dennis Grossell got his first career start last Saturday, taking over for Anthony Brown, who is out for the season. Trying to jump into the center of the line once again. It's Bailey this time. Not a lot of room to operate on that carry. Let's get down to Katie George.
Well, that 4th down conversion wasn't just a good thing for this offense. It was a huge deal for the BC defense. They've been on the field the majority of this first quarter. They're visibly taxed and tired over here. That just elongated their break.
Now, Katie, they got nothing on that run. 3rd down and 1. Grossell trying to lean in as he keeps it, and will pick up a first down.
You just see the push of Boston College's offensive line, on a short yardage situation with everyone in that Clemson defense up in there. The Boston College coaches feel like they have an advantage, a matchup advantage with their offensive line, which is why they're running the football, which is why we saw them go for it on 4th down.
Boston College, long noted for very good offensive lines. Big, strong guys up front there. He twists around, throws it, and that's going to be incomplete. And a dangerous pass by Grossell. Good pressure there by A.J. Terrell.
In BC trying to set up a screen, and I'm not sure who they were trying to get out. I think it was Zay Flowers, but he wasn't in the area that Grossell was expecting him. You mentioned the pressure, Dave. Clemson bringing a blitz. If that one connects, there's a chance it scores.
Grossell, former walk-on, who has been awarded a scholarship. Looking to hand off here for Glines, trying to bounce out. Trying to find an edge out there. And driven out by Kendrick. That picks up 5 yards. As we approach the final minute of the first, and it is 17-0. Tigers here, homecoming weekend. So a crowd of close to 80,000 on hand in Death Valley. Third and 5 for Boston College. Dillon back in at the running back. Off to the left side as he continues to churn ahead. And that's a gain of 3, but a big decision coming up as they're into the red zone. And 4th and 2 for BC.
And it's a long 2 here. This isn't one where you can quarterback sneak it.
See if Dillon gets it again. Rossell. And indeed he does get the carry, and up ahead he goes to pick up a first down. So that's a gain of 5 for the big back. Junior from New London, Connecticut. Has a couple of records, all-time school records, that he could achieve here tonight. End of the first. Clemson with a 17-0 lead over Boston College, but they have a 1st and goal when we come back. A.J. Dillon's been terrific on this drive. Maybe a record-breaking night for him. His mom, Jessica, is here. She has missed 1 game since his junior year of high school, and in that game, he scored 5 touchdowns. Now, if he doesn't get these records tonight, of course, there's always next week against Syracuse, but she is not going to be there. She's attending a family bat mitzvah, and she is not going to be there for that game. So, certainly he wants to get it done tonight on the roll. Rossell for the end zone and incomplete. And for more on that story, let's toss it down to Katie.
Well, OB, I spoke with Jessica pregame, and she said, I just want AJ to go out and have fun, play well, and compete and enjoy this moment. But selfishly, I do really want to see him break both records tonight, and obviously so does AJ with her in the stands.
He's rushed for 100 yards or more in 5 consecutive games. He had to like his chances, even against Clemson. He'll get the carry here before he is stacked up. And waiting for the whistle. We did hear the whistle. So the play was dead on a 2-yard pickup officially on the stop by Tanner Muse.
You say stop by Tanner Muse. I mean, Tanner Muse is a safety, and he comes up and fills and just drills A.J. Dillon there. I mean, that is an impressive tackle by a safety on a 250-pound back.
Ball popped up, but no fumble. Early moments of the second quarter. Boston College trying to get in the end zone. 3rd and goal now. Rossell for the handoff. Dillon into the end zone for the touchdown. So he is 1 away from the all-time BC record for touchdowns, racing in from 9 yards out. And Boston College on the scoreboard. His 34th career touchdown to tie the school record. And he is a load.
And what a response by the Boston College offense on that drive.
Boumerion for the extra point.
And taking a page out of Clemson's book with this lag draw, fake the sprint out, hand it to A.J. Dillon, catch the defense off guard, just split it, and A.J. Dillon doesn't need to use that power as he walks into the end zone.
Well, number 2 at his first touchdown of the night. A.J. Dillon with the score. Clemson leading it 17-7. Boston College wants to make sure they are relevant in the second half tonight, Tim.
They just want to be in a situation where they can continue to have these backs lean on that defense, make the secondary players tackle for Clemson.
And got it to take it out. And getting to about the 25-yard line, and that drive, 15 plays, 75 yards.
Yeah, and Clemson is bringing Kayvon Wallace off the edge here, and the other thing they're doing is they're taking Davis and they're moving him that way. What that does is it creates a huge void in their defense, and Chad Smith ends up being slow. That allows Alec Lindstrom to get up on the middle linebacker And because he does that, that's why no one is there. You look at some of these plays, you say, well, how did that happen? It was a good timed play call by Boston College, and it really caught Clemson's defense, who was, they were bringing a blitz, and that's why they ended up splitting them.
From the 26, bad snap and a drop. So a muffed play for the Tigers here. Look at the snap.
Yeah, and the snap's just off to the left of Lawrence. Almost, it was like Etienne could have caught it if he was looking at it. And I think that's some of the sloppiness of their offense, whether it's been Trevor's interceptions or whether it's been, a play like that has had Dabo, frustrated at times with his group.
We'll say this, though, 8 interceptions. Not like he's been hurt by those picks to this point. It's not like they've been taken back for scores for touchdowns.
It's a great point by you, Obey, because with those interceptions, Brent Venables' defense has responded. I mean, the interception we saw against Georgia Tech, Trevor makes a tackle on the 1-yard line, and the defense ends up, with an interception. And so he's been bailed out. That's complimentary football. I still think it's something Dabo wants out of his offense.
3rd and 7 for Lawrence and the Tigers here in the second quarter. He's back to throw, and good time to do it. Airs it out, and that will be complete on that far side to Ross. And a first down gain for Clemson. Ross, who is noted for those acrobatic catches, this one 24 yards.
Yeah, and again, you're going to see that it's Palmer. I mean, Palmer is playing 6 yards off of Ross, and he gets spun around, which is why he's so wide open. If you're Boston College, you at least want these passing plays to be contested.
And Tony Elliott says he can be as good as he wants to be. That's certainly true of Etienne. Straight ahead, breaks another tackle. How many did he bust on the way to that big gain? And another first down. He rips off 30 yards. 72 yards already for Etienne. And a carry stopped by Ram. So we go back for another look.
Boston College needs unblocked defenders. You see Sparacio there to make the play on this running back, Travis Etienne. If you are unblocked and you are there to make a play, you need to make the tackle. If you don't, it's going to end up being a long night. They have good enough players, and they're talented enough when they're blocking you. When you are unblocked, you need to rise to the occasion and win that matchup.
Then Jay Dixon, the running back, he's back in. So is the tight end Chalk. 2nd down and 9. On a carry. Lawrence will step out. Now, you talked about this just as we came on the air tonight. It's underrated what a good runner he is.
And I think it's probably been a little undersold in terms of how willing they are to use him as a runner. That's a zone read run. He makes a great decision with the defensive end coming down. Brandon Barlow squeezes it, so he keeps the football. And then you see the speed to the corner. I mean, Higgins gets a nice block, but Trevor's got enough speed to get to the edge, and
timeout.
Now they're inside the 10.
Now Clemson.
Their first of the half.
We'll take their first
timeout.
time out.
This will be a 30-second timeout.
To talk about what to do on 1st and goal here.
And this is what I mean. You see Barlow squeeze down. Trevor decides to keep it. There's the block by Higgins. And there's Trevor, speed to the corner, and then a good job of getting out of bounds. You see Higgins does a good job of just fighting enough to help his quarterback. And then Trevor out of bounds, not taking an unnecessary hit. So it's smart running. It's a good play call. It's great execution. And it's been a big part of their offense this year.
Yeah, they'll use him to punch it in. Again, he's run for 5 touchdowns this season.
Ran for 1 against BC last year. And it's funny, Dave, he's been criticized so much for those interceptions. But he's been an outstanding runner. He's been a better runner than he was a year ago.
He's also thrown 14 touchdown passes this season. Don't look beyond that. So 11:05 to go here in the second quarter. Clemson looking to get into the end zone again. He has Etienne. Rodgers in motion. Etienne trying to bust through on the left side, and he is stacked up. John Lamont with the tackle, and that'll be a gain of 2.
And up to Travis Etienne. John Lamont.
So 10:45 remaining here in the first half. 2nd and goal to 4-yard line. Well, they call on ETN again. On the pitch. Heading to the end zone. He lunges ahead and he's in for the touchdown. Got a good block out of the tight end, J.C. Chalk, to help along the way. And he scores from 4 yards out.
You mentioned the block by Chalk, does a good job, and then ETN looks like he's able to spin and get that football over the line before his backside hits the ground.
Track trying to bring him down, but too late. And the extra point is good. So Clemson with a 24-7 lead. ETN off to the races.
Yeah, and it's a great job by J.C. Chalk, as you pointed out, and then ETN, foot in the ground, get up the field, power into the end zone. Such an outstanding back.
Let's go, Tigers! Woo!
How about a biscuit?
ACC Network Primetime Football is brought to you by Bojangles' famous chicken and biscuits. It's bow tie.
Oh, how about a biscuit? You don't have to ask me twice, that's for sure. It's bow time. Still waiting for that call for the voiceover gig. Now, before the game, you guys had some fun down there. You and Katie in the T-shirts. And if it's free, a college student will jump all over it. And that was certainly the case. The ACC Net T-shirts, which are hot, they're flying off the shelves.
I mean, as soon as they caught him, they put him on. I mean, that's how you know it's all the rage. He had a hard time putting it on because of that, but you see, look at the towel. It would be kind of, they probably make plastic versions of those, right?
I definitely think that's the way to go with the towel, because that's a real pumpkin.
It looks like an actual helmet there.
Halloween just 5 days away. Clemson with a 24-7 lead. Orange certainly the dominant color here in Death Valley. And the Tigers have the offense rolling. 4 drives, 4 scores, 3 touchdowns, a field goal for Clemson. Bailey back in at a running back here for BC. Rossell from the pocket to throw. And a good catch out near the 40-yard line for the first down. That one hauled in by Kobe White. That'll gain 14.
And I think drive starters like that in the passing game, play action, will really help this offense. Now they're into their tempo with their big personnel, which is really what they want to focus on.
They like Rossell's arm. They say his arm strength is just about on par with Brown's. We'll see if that's true over the course of a night like this. But he looks like he's unflappable. They love his work ethic. That one picks up 2 yards. So far having early difficulty, turned it around on the last drive, however, to go 75 yards for the touchdown by A.J. Dillon. Second down and 8. And Bailey again, trying to get to the 40, but tough sledding there. He'll lose a yard. Tyler Davis there for the stop. The 6'3" freshman. That's a guy that Dabo Swinney was raving about in the spring game, saying, he came almost ready-made and knowing exactly what to do on that line. 3rd down and 9. And backing up in a shotgun now, Rossell wants to pass again, looking to his left, throwing long and too far, incomplete. Intended for Zay Flowers, but Terrell was with him, step for step.
Yeah, and you just see BC's not built for that 3rd and 10 known passing situation. Clemson not afraid to just play press man coverage with their corners against Boston College's wide receivers. They feel like that's a matchup advantage for Clemson, and you can see why they feel that way.
And what has happened is exactly what they did not want to happen. They have fallen behind here 24-7. Not a team built for big come-from-behind wins. Here's Rodgers on the low punt. As we take a look at our New York Life drive recap.
And you get to a third down situation, Justin Ross wide open. Trevor able to find him easily, and then it was really about the run game at that point. Travis Etienne rips off a big run. Boston College missing tackles in the open field, and then Trevor Lawrence decides to keep it, and then just power down in the goal line with Etienne punching in. Remember that drive started with an errant snap, and you just think of the way that the rest of that group offensively decided to respond after that poor drive start.
Price back in at the tight end. Etienne on a carry, and so tough to bring down on that first hit. Almost impossible. That gains 5.
And almost another errant snap. I've seen 3 of them now. The one that was mishandled by Trevor. But that's 3 snaps now that have been kind of high and to the left and kind of quick. And it's pretty good athleticism and concentration by Trevor Lawrence to make sure he fields that football.
Backup center Cade Stewart in there. 2nd and 5. He'll throw short. And got a tripped up. Took a hit. So he was trying to burn for that first down. Stopped by Maitre on the tackle. A gain of 4. So it brings up 3rd down and 1. Under 8 minutes to go before the half here at Clemson. And a handoff once again to the center of the line. And pulling ahead for the first down, Etienne, as he gains 4 and another first down for the Tigers.
Well, Clemson not known as a power running team, but they will run some power. They run some inside zone, and because of Etienne, and quite honestly, because of how good they are up front on their offensive line, they get plenty of movement and are good at situationally running the football in those short yardage down and distances.
Some teams have been surprised by how frequently they pass on 1st and 2nd down. Lawrence trying to do that again, and that'll be hauled in. A catch made by Ross for a first down. 19 yards on this pass play.
You talk about poise in the pocket. Look at the pocket fall in on him. That's a lot of static in the pocket. Kind of have to adjust the way you throw the football. And that's great quarterback play by Trevor Lawrence. 2 hands on the football until he releases it. That's really well done.
9 of 9, 139 yards, and a touchdown for the quarterback. Time on the move again, looking downfield. Throwing long, and that one tipped away. He wanted Justin Ross again, but the tip by Maitre to break it up.
And listen, that could have easily turned into an interception, similar to some of the interceptions we've seen Trevor throw this year, as Maitre's able to get his hands on it. They're trying to double move outside to Ross. But here's where I think there's maybe some miscommunication from the coaching staff to Trevor Lawrence, or maybe that's what they want, is they have these big receivers that they feel like can go get the football against anybody. I think they want him making those throws to give his big wide receivers a chance to make a play on the football.
Short throw despite the bobble. Here's Higgins down the side.
T. Higgins.
Had a little trouble with it initially, but shorthanded in the end to get to the red zone as they pick up 15.
It just goes back to the inability to get these skill position players for Clemson down on the ground in space, and T. Higgins doesn't catch it cleanly, but you're still able to turn it into a big play.
One of those big receivers you're talking about. He's 6'4". Ross is 6'4". Overton is 6'4". A lot of those guys with tremendous elevation skills as well. Here's Rodgers. Gets away from one tackler, and now he scampers to the end zone for 6 more. They got a really good block out of T.J. Chase, and he was off for 19 and a score. So that makes it 30-7, the Tigers. Rodgers was made that amazing comeback from a torn ACL at a supersonic pace of recovery. They think he might actually be a little faster than before the injury. That's amazing.
It is amazing. He looks faster to me, and this is T.J. Chase sustaining a block on Sebastian on the perimeter that allows Amari Rodgers to use that speed with that knee brace on and get into the end zone.
ABC Network Primetime Football presented by Geico. Clemson rolling 31-7. 6 minutes to go in the half. They already have 19 first downs. And are beating up on the Eagles. Boston College was hopeful of staying in it, especially until the rain came, which is anticipated somewhere around 10 o'clock tonight. That certainly works to the advantage of a team like BC with their running attack. Let's toss it down to Katie George.
So a big part of Amari Rogers' preparation each week is work on the jugs machine. Every night after practice, he stays after and catches 100 balls in various, sometimes crazy positions just to work on visibility and his hands. Co-offensive coordinator Jeff Scott told me no one works harder or as often on the jugs machine as Amari, and it shows up on Saturdays when he makes incredible plays like the touchdown we just saw. Luckily, he entertained me. He allowed me to tag along on Thursday night after practice, and, well, we had a lot of fun.
Katie, gloves or no gloves? Which way do you go there?
100% gloves, Dave.
You look very comfortable.
I was just surprised I was able to catch one one-handed. That made my night.
No, that was very, very impressive.
It was impressive, and there was definitely a surprise even on Katie's face. Like, I think she was surprised she caught one-handed.
Division I athlete, that's cake for her.
Amari Rogers was surprised, guys. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah, he's come a long way. So is ETN as far as his pass-catching ability. On a run to the left sideline, A.J. Dillon, who has already scored a touchdown tonight. By the way, Trevor Lawrence just about perfect so far. 11 out of 12, 173 yards, 2 touchdowns, no picks.
He's got completions to 8 different guys. I mean, you talk about the weapons that he has at his disposal. They do such a great job of spreading the football around to their different playmakers.
Clemson has already scored more points than they did last season at Chestnut Hill. And here, turnover here, they do recover the fumble. Isaiah Simmons was all over the quarterback, Rossell.
Boston College trying to set up a flea flicker of their own, but you can't do it if you have penetration. Isaiah Simmons unblocked. And so the running back just needs to eat that one. And
pretty good putting game. Yes.
It would not surprise me if he was also a good golfer because he is such an incredible athlete.
He is all-world Tigers tackle and sack leader, among other things. Grossell trying to get down. He's taken down on his back. He gets dumped on a 2nd and 21. That was Jordan Williams to say hello along with K.J. Henry. So they're going to lose 4 yards on that one. The defense stout for the Tigers, as it has been all season long. It's been exceptional. Last 6 years, Clemson leading the country in sacks and tackles for a loss under Coach Venables. 3rd and 25 for BC. Goes up, pressure on him. He heaves it up. That was Justin Foster. Had a terrific game last week with Xavier Thomas out. Thomas remains out. Talk about an all-world defensive end. He's been out with a concussion, but Foster had the best game of his career last weekend.
I've been impressed with Foster every time he's been on the field. Even you go back a year ago, playing in the reserve role. He's an excellent pass rusher. I think he's an excellent all-around defender. Listen, 3rd and 25 is hard for anybody. You just see for Boston College, just don't have a chance. So you're not built to protect the speed in terms of the blitz packages out of Clemson. Just hard for them to handle.
Flag down as Rogers tries to make something out of this punt return. He crosses the 30, now the 40 up the sideline. And again, a flag down just as that play began, with 3.5 minutes to go here in the second quarter. And Clemson with a commanding 31-7 lead over Boston College. Last year the score was 27-7.
Holding, number 1, return team. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down. Timeout.
So a timeout, 3.5 to go before halftime. Amari Rogers and his Jugs gun partner. Tigers enjoying all manners of games tonight. A 31-7 advantage on Boston College. Lawrence back to work. He was a freshman against Boston College. He had a big game, 295 yards and a touchdown. He's doing it again tonight. Dumps this one off for Ross as he'll go out of bounds. And a gain of 6 yards for the Tigers. You look at it, just a shot like that of Higgins and Ross, as we talk about all the targets he has available, and on a night like tonight, how efficiently he uses all of them.
Spreading out, they do a great job of tracking it as a coaching staff, getting guys involved, and I think it's one of the reasons that they feel so comfortable rolling guys in and out of the lineup on the perimeter.
Going to go underneath for that reception by Ngata. He's the freshman that the coaching staff has been raving about as the next great wideout here at Clemson. That picks up 10.
He's so impressive looking. I mean, he's big, he's strong, he's fast, does a great job of getting his body inside on that slant. Saw a couple NFL scouts on the field before the game. They're already aware of Joseph Ngata. You think about that, that's incredible considering he basically just arrived on campus.
All the way from Folsom, California. Off the play fake. He's going to go long. A deep ball here. Oh, tremendous effort, but incomplete. Intended for Frank Ladson. The freshman from Miami, broken up by Sebastian.
One of the things I love that Trevor Lawrence does is he gives his guys a chance to get their hands on the football. Now, Ladson doesn't come down with that. He nearly does, but you don't want long foul balls. You want the opportunity for your big wide receivers to make a play on it, to touch the football. It's a pretty good throw right there by Trevor.
Frank Ladson, actually Clemson's highest rated freshman in this class. He's going to roll right. And he's going to go out of bounds on the carry, which will gain 9, just short. And a running clock with 2:15 to go.
And I'll just say that play right there is an improvement from some of the stuff we've seen from him this year. Escape outside the pocket, you get close to the boundary. We've seen him force stuff back inside and be intercepted. And that right there is a little bit of growth on the season in terms of making a better decision.
3rd down 1 for the Tigers. And Dixon with the carry. As he goes straight ahead, Ram there to say hi. But he picks up the 1st down, a gain of 2. So 1st down here for Clemson. Driving again here in the final moments of the half. They do have 2 timeouts remaining. Wants to throw, getting away from the pressure. Running for that sideline, as he has done so effectively once again tonight. That's a 15-yard pickup.
Yeah, I've already complimented him as a passer inside the pocket here. Look at the strength by Trevor Lawrence. That's a defensive lineman trying to wrap his arm around him. You see the strength and then speed, and he just seems to have such good command of what they want to do offensively, and then the poise to deal with the stuff around him in the pocket.
Well, he has rushed for 42 yards. He's getting 8 yards per carry in this game. Wants to throw. Got it off, but incomplete. He saw Overton for a moment, but incomplete. Some pressure there. And DeBerry with the coverage. With 1:18 left in the half. On a muggy night with rain on the way, sometime around 10 o'clock here in South Carolina. 2nd down and 10. And the 6'6 sophomore with a handoff for Dixon. Big hole up the middle. He picks up a 1st down. Lynn J. Dixon with a 14-yard scamper.
You know, we talk so much about Travis Etienne, but Lynn J. Dixon, a pretty good back as well. Excellent patience in the hole there. Does a good job of finding some room.
And he has rushed for 3 touchdowns this season. Time for the short pass, and that one complete to Etienne, who's done so much work on his pass catching.
See what I mean by patience of Lynn J. Dixon, and then look at Matt Bockhorst with the body slam. You know, you typically get called for a hold when you end up trying to wrestle somebody down like that, but kind of behind the play. Clemson probably a little bit fortunate there that they weren't flagged, but.
Now Trevor Lawrence with a hot night, 14 out of 17, 2 touchdowns.
And he's been outstanding. He's seeing it well. His guys are winning on the perimeter. He's making good decisions. He's throwing a catchable ball. And, you know, Dave, you brought up the point earlier about Dabo getting on him, you know, being pretty critical of some of the decisions that he's made and saying, you know, that's about as dumb of a decision as I've ever seen a quarterback make, and been hard on him. And the good quarterbacks, I think, respond well to that. And just look at, you know, the shot chart tonight for Trevor Lawrence, and it's been absolutely outstanding. You think about, you know, right here, 0 for 2 on deep stuff down the field. Both of them could have been caught,
sure,
you know, into the hands of his receivers.
Yeah, you think of the jump ball, that's pretty much that was for Ross. They connect a lot on that play because Ross has that great jumping ability. He'll throw short, complete to Etienne. Trying for that corner before he is taken down. Out of bounds. 42 seconds left as they try on 1st and goal to get in again.
Really like what Clemson's doing here. They're running their receivers down the field. The coverage is soft because of the situation of the game. And then they're isolating Etienne in space as a receiver on Lamont. The 240-pound linebacker just can't keep up with Travis Etienne running an option route.
1st and goal for Clemson again. Etienne straight on. Dives in once again. Clemson with another touchdown. A 5-yard touchdown run for Travis Etienne. His 3rd of the ball game, and he has racked up 92 yards already.
And you said straight on, Dave. That's exactly what it was. It was straight on right at you, and yet again, an unblocked defender. This time Josh DeBerry in the hole, and Travis Etienne just runs him over into the end zone.
Potter on for the point after. He'll drill that. Clemson now leading it 38-7, doing it in the air, doing it on the ground.
Yeah, in the air and on the ground. This is the option route on Lamont. Lamont just can't stay with him. And then you get down in tight and you decide just to kind of run power football right at you, running through tackles into the end zone, and it just gives you a glimpse into why Travis Etienne is such an outstanding player. So versatile, so much power, so much speed. He's terrific.
And another guy that Dabo Swinney admitted he leaned on. We saw him have a great game in the season opener against Georgia Tech. He ran wild, looked like he was off on the lead guy for the Heisman Trophy. The last several games, he's kind of come back to life, but for a while there, he was certainly in a lull, and his head coach didn't like the way he was running the football.
Had a couple fumbles. I think Dabo let him hear it, and we talked about it at the top. Dabo Swinney not afraid to coach his stars hard. I think it sets a great example for the rest of his football team, and especially when you see your star players respond to the hard coaching. It's a great example for all the other young players on this team.
Coaches the stars hard, and also the guys who are not quite as high in the depth chart. Lines on to carry after the kickoff as he bulls it ahead with half a minute to go before halftime. One very tired Tiger already with a 38-7 lead.
You look at him as tired. I'm looking at him as jacked by the end of this.
Yes. Etienne, by the way, 3 rushing touchdowns. That ties his career high. Also had 3 in a game we mentioned in the opener against Georgia Tech. And we'll see if it's one of those nights where Dabo Swinney, come the second half, kind of empties the bench. We have seen him play as many as 111 players in one game. And he does not believe in running up the score. He told us that with Bobby Bowden sitting in his office yesterday, because he said, you know, Bobby was the same kind of coach. He didn't want to embarrass opponents.
We've seen it in person. I mean, we have seen, you mentioned, you know, over 110 players playing in a game. That's hard to do. It's hard to just even organize. And look, we've seen it early. I mean, we've seen DeAndre Overton in the game catching touchdowns. It's just the identity of this program, and it's on display tonight.
I'll tell you what, that's the Clemson that a lot of opponents fear. Even though they have been slipping in the polls, this is the Clemson that a lot of folks anticipated seeing every single game. That's probably not realistic, but they were outstanding in the first half, 38-7.
Absolutely incredible, and I think the way they do that, it keeps so much competition on their roster, and it also keeps guys ready to enter into the football game.
Well, they really put it all together in the first half here against Boston College. Let's go to Katie with Dabo Swinney.
Thanks, Dave. You are on there. I know they call Clemson wide receiver you, but Travis Etienne, 3 touchdowns. What impressed you?
Well, just guys are ready to play. You know, great energy, both sides of the ball, and just coming out here and executing with great efficiency. You know, we're just clicking on all cylinders. We're mixing it up, running the ball. Everything starts with being able to win in the line of scrimmage. And they had one good long drive on us right there. But other than that, we've really done a great job in the trenches on both sides, and that opens everything else up. Trevor's playing great, backs, a lot of people touching the ball, made some plays in space. You know, we feel like we've got an advantage in space, and we've been able to take advantage of some of those things. So great first half.
Thanks for the time.
You got it.
All right, thanks to Dabo Swinney. Thank you, Katie. And right after this short break, Jordan Cornette and the gang will join you for the ACC Network halftime report. The Tigers are rolling against BC 38-7 at the break here at Death Valley. Welcome back to ACC Network Primetime Football presented by Geico. Back at Death Valley, this is the way you do the first half of a homecoming. Clemson 38, Boston College 7. Dave and Tim with you. Just about everything went right for the Tigers.
You know, Dabo Swinney said going into halftime, he felt like they have an advantage in space, and there is no question that they have an advantage in space with all of their playmakers. Shows up at the running back position, shows up at the wide receiver position. Just been too much for BC.
ETN nearly 100 yards already, 92, 3 touchdowns. Trevor Lawrence very sharp, 15 out of 18, 212 yards, 2 touchdowns. And Clemson very, very good in that first half in all phases of the game. And Gata trying to bring it out of there on the opening kickoff. Clemson with the football to begin the second half, leading it 38-7.
This is what I mean about in space. There's Travis Etienne with an unblocked defender, and he can't get him down. Similar thing in the passing game. John Lamont can't stay with him. He can't get him down. And then you go out to the wide receiver position, and it's Overton in space. Missed tackles in the open field, and then it's Amari Rogers' turn. Good block by T. Overton, and then the next thing you know, there goes Amari Rogers. And so you see that's been the story of this football game. Boston College just can't run with Clemson.
Clemson scoring touchdowns on the last 5 drives of the first half to pile up the big lead. We'll see if Lawrence actually gets to play in the fourth quarter. He's going to be taken down immediately on the first play of the second half by Marcus Valdez. The defensive end came on.
Yeah, it's coming from over here, and, you know, I think Trevor Lawrence just holds on to this football for too long. Amari Rogers looks like he stops. Trevor's waiting for him. That's a pretty vicious hit. You see him. You see Trevor Lawrence saying, hey, he's telling him, keep running, keep going. Because Amari Rogers stopped, which is why Trevor was stuck holding the football.
Second down, 15. And a handoff, not much there. On the carry, ETN. Closing in on 100 yards, but got nothing on that carry. So third down coming. Tigers trying to go to 8-0, trying to win their 23rd consecutive game. Yet they have managed to drop 3 slots in the polls. Each of the last 2 weeks they have dropped, despite winning by 31 and 35 points. Now, the coaching staff says that's not the focus, but you know you're talking about 18, 19, 20-year-old kids. For them, it's a different story, and they do talk about it, and that it is a driving factor. Lawrence to go out of bounds here, and it does get under those fingernails.
I don't think there's any doubt that it gets under the fingernails of of Dabo Swinney. And while I think when he coaches his team, he tells them not to worry about it. I mean, we had a long conversation in his office about, kind of the credibility of his program, what they've achieved, the track record. And the fact that, you just look at 3 out of the 6 last national champions have been from the ACC. And so he's pretty proud of the performance that his team, had in the college, playoff a year ago against Alabama. Basically ran them off the field. And so I think he certainly felt disrespected that they were winning football games and dropping in the polls.
Clemson with their first punt. Levy will let that one bounce inside the 30-yard line, down close to the 25. And for more on Boston College, we toss it down to Katie George.
Well, I spoke to Steve Adazio during the break, and he is not happy. He said his team needs to make tackles, get better field position, and create drives so they can play their style of offense. He said, we're a physical team. We're not acting like it. We need to be the aggressor in this next half. If we want any chance in coming back, surely he's happy with that 3-and-out from his defense right there.
Katie, thank you very much. Forcing the first punt by Spires. That goes 58 yards. So first down and 10. Clemson with the 38-7 lead. We talk about how BC loves to use the tight end. I've got 3 of them in the ball game right here. Going to run it here. Big hole for Dillon. Dillon with a first down as he barrels out to the 45-yard line. It's an 18-yard gain.
Well, whatever Steve Adazio said to his team at halftime must have worked. You get a stop on defense, and then you rip off a nice run on first down.
A.J. Dillon 10 rushing yards away from the Boston College record, the career mark, also closing in on a touchdown mark as well. He is 1 shy of that. So individually could certainly wind up being a giant night for him. We asked him about it yesterday. He's a great kid, by the way. Got him to talk about it a little bit, and certainly with his mom, Jessica, here, he thought it would mean the world, to do all that. Now, the first thing he was talking about was a victory over Clemson. But if that were not to happen, certainly to have his mom here to watch him. She's missed 1 game since his junior year in high school. Another big carry here. And let's see if that's the one that gets him the record, stopped by Kayvon Wallace. And it is enough for a first down. He picks up 10 yards right there. A.J. Dillon, who has had a sensational career at Boston College and now the all-time leading rusher for BC.
That's a pretty impressive accomplishment. You think Boston College has had some really good running backs. They've had some great offensive linemen that have contributed to that.
Knocked out of the hands of Rossell, scooped up. On the run, heading for the end zone, Logan Rudolph, and he is in for the touchdown. Chad Smith forcing the fumble. Rudolph scooped it up. And another touchdown for the Tigers, this time for the defense. Scooped it up and ran 39 yards.
You just think, we've talked about all of these weapons on offense. Now you get in defensive scores. And we touched on it earlier of how this Clemson defense has played after a Trevor Lawrence turnover. Well, a quick 3-and-out. What does the defense do? They decide to come up with a score. Really nice play by Chad Smith and Logan Rudolph.
Potter on to make it 45-7.
A.J. Dillon not able to hold up in pass protection on Chad Smith. He's able to knock the football out of Dennis Rossell's hands. And then Logan Rudolph with a scoop and score.
Well, the sophomore from Rock Hill, South Carolina, Logan Rudolph, his brother Mason beaming right now because that was Logan's first career touchdown as he rumbles into the end zone, picking up the fumble for the score.
I mean, it's a great play. I think I'm pretty sure he's faster than Mason Rudolph. There's no question about that. Seeing him run into the end zone there, and he's a tough, hard-nosed football player, plays with great effort, and he's been a big part of this defensive line group that's played well, and pretty athletic move, and good job avoiding the tackle. And
Well, it's not the only thing that he can do. Now, he tweeted out his announcement that he was coming to Clemson. This is how he did it a couple of years ago.
Oh, I didn't see you there. Just wanted to thank my family, coaches, and everyone who's recruited me, but I'll be committing to Clemson.
We never do see if he takes the tree down. I'm going to assume he did.
I'm pretty sure if you wear jorts like that, you can you can chop a tree down.
That was Mason's idea, by the way, to announce
Proud
it
of
that way.
snap, illegal substitution, 12 players in the defensive formation, 5-yard penalty, first down.
It was actually his older brother Mason's idea for him to shoot that video. He said, look, you only get one shot at this to make your announcement of where you're going to school. You better think outside the box and get as many retweets as possible. Logan took it to the woods, you guys.
Yes, he did. He certainly did. I'm going to ask him next time we see him, did he actually take the tree down, or were you just playing there?
It looked like it was close to going.
It looked like it was close to going.
I think one more hack at it, and that puppy was falling.
Yeah, probably with strength like that, it's a foregone conclusion. Well, Clemson 45, Boston College 7 here on a Saturday night at Death Valley. A night where an awful lot of things once again have gone right for the number 4 team in the country. Boston College trying to claw their way back, but in a big, big hole here. Bailey on the carry and a stop by Skalski after a 1-yard pickup.
You know, Boston College is a different offense for Clemson to face. And so, you know, multiple tight ends, you want to run it right at you. Think about the linebackers tonight for Clemson have really played well. Skalski, Chad Smith doing a really good job pouring it up in there, meeting that run head on.
They have done that all season long, haven't they? The defense has been tremendous.
The defense has been outstanding, and you know, they're forced to play a different look defensively. Here's Simmons. He's been playing basically, you know, down in the box as an edge player. Here he comes scraping across the formation, getting involved in the tackle. And when he plays against more traditional spread teams, Brent Venables will have him playing 15 yards deep down in the, you know, in the middle of the field. So this has been a different challenge for this Clemson group defensively. And I think they've certainly passed the test with flying colors.
Yeah, particularly given the incredible amount of talent they lost to the NFL as this one gets into the end zone. Last year going 15-0, that historic run to the national championship.
ACC Network Primetime Football is brought to you by Food Lion, the official grocer of the ACC.
What a wonderful tradition as the Clemson Tigers come down the hill here at Death Valley as they did here tonight. It's been called the most exciting 25 seconds in college football. Now, yesterday you were doing a hit on the hill, Tim, and somebody else wanted to get in on this.
The most important thing for that Boston College football team will be to run the football.
Very graceful. And now watch this part. This is the part that makes the entire George family very, very proud. Right here, right, the celebration. That's obviously a penalty. Busting free and a big run is Etienne, who has gone over 100 yards with a huge gain there. 17 yards.
I blame Tim. He told me I needed to run faster and I needed to make that jump.
Well, listen, the hill is a lot steeper when you're standing on the hill. You realize how steep that hill is. But what it made me do is really appreciate Dabo when he runs out.
Got that one to Overton, and Overton is off to the races. He will score. Touchdown, Clemson. BC had a chance to break it up, but Trevor Lawrence, 63 yards for the touchdown. And Clemson is into the 50s, 51-7.
And how about that throw by Trevor Lawrence? Are you kidding me? It's Overton on the corner route. And we've seen him change kind of ball speeds and trajectory throughout this game. Maybe none better than that one there to Overton. And how about this team? I mean, we talk Ross and we talk Higgins. And oh, by the way, they have Amari Rodgers and some of these young guys. Well, don't forget about DeAndre Overton. What a night he's having.
Overton, a guy who had a touchdown reception in the national championship game against Alabama.
This is what I mean about the throw, Dave. I mean, rolling him out, running to his left, kind of squares up. Good touch on the football when you have a 6'4" wide receiver. I said it earlier, let these guys get their hands on the ball. That's what Trevor Lawrence does, and it is an embarrassment of riches.
Let's see, who ran it better now? Was it Dabo or was it Katie George? I mean, Dabo's an old pro at this.
The jump was Katie's jump better than Dabo's, but I think the finish, look at Dabo's finish. I mean, look at the stride.
Yeah, that's a wide receiver stride, which of course he was at Bama. Katie stops the dance. Dabo keeps on running. And the Tiger joining in on that celebration as Dabo Swinney lands.
I think Dabo saw that footage and he really picked up his pace and speed tonight.
Yeah.
He usually doesn't run down that fast, I don't think.
Right, you were a motivating factor for Dabo Swinney. Okay. All right, that's fine. You can believe that. That's good for your ego. 9 minutes to go here in the third. 52-7 Clemson. And running away with it. This has turned into a nightmare for the Eagles. So 52-7 and counting, and now we'll see if any substitutions start for the Tigers. It's usually the case when the score gets like this. And they like to play more people than just about anybody in the country.
They typically do, and you know, usually those substitutions will happen on offense first. Played 111 players against Charlotte. We were here for that one, and it's just incredible that they're able to do that. I mean, there are guys that are part of football programs for 4 years, guys that walk on that never touch the field. You know, there are freshman players that come and play right away late in games for Clemson.
Well, A.J. Dillon looking for a second touchdown tonight, which would set the Boston College record for touchdowns in a career. He already has the rushing record, which he has established tonight, but that's -1 on that carry. By the way, Trevor Lawrence, his third consecutive 3-touchdown passing game for the first time in his career. First Tiger player to do it since 2013 when Boyd did it. See how much longer he goes this evening given the score. Second down and 11 for BC. Rossell wants to throw. Looking for the sideline. And incomplete. As White tumbles out of bounds there. Chase Bryce getting ready. 6'2" sophomore, the backup quarterback.
Chase Bryce has been great, and they've gotten him, you know, valuable experience in games like these. And, you know, Dabo is quick to get him in there. You think about Trevor Lawrence. Not many games he's been playing in the fourth quarter. Certainly not many games he's been playing deep into the fourth quarter. And so here we are in the middle of the third. And, you know, Chase Bryce, who already has 88 snaps on the season, is already getting ready to head into this football game.
Dennis Grosel, however, has had a tough night throwing it. That one tipped and almost intercepted. Nearly picked by the Tigers. Olin Turner was there. And so is Tanner Muse. 8:17 left in the third.
And think about this if you're a quarterback. Isaiah Simmons is basically reading the quarterback's eyes. So you think you've got a window to throw the football. No, wait a second. Here comes number 11 with arms that must, you know, seems like a wingspan of about 7 feet.
You know, he's in on, it feels like every single play.
It's incredible. I mean, he's one of these guys that he can do so much. He's just so versatile, and you can play him in so many different spots, and that's just a great example of him just having great instincts and being a good football player.
Boston College punting for the 7th time. This one for 49. This guy can jump 11-10. You talk about getting up there. All sorts of all-world skills. Trevor Lawrence, terrific night. He's going to be out of the game at 16-19, 275 yards, 3 touchdowns.
And you think about adding a little rushing yardage total to that. He's phenomenal. He's been under some heat because of the interceptions, and probably his best performance of the season this evening.
Yeah, you know, if he had many critics, and maybe there are a few out there, but that quiets him. with a passing rating like that.
Yeah, and the truth is, there's been some legitimacy to the criticism because some of the interceptions have been bad interceptions. They're not, just barely behind the guy. They've been bad interceptions. And so how do you respond to that? Dabo raved about his response to it in the Louisville game, and it seems like he's got the ability to respond to it on a season level as well.
Right. They believe he is incredibly mentally tough. Dabo Swinney, when he's tossing out Brett Favre and saying, well, Brett Favre made a dumb pass once in a while too.
Yeah, and I think that they want Trevor to be aggressive. Brett Favre was really aggressive. I think that's why the comparison makes sense, is that when you're aggressive with the football, you will turn it over. And, in some ways, you just look at last season, 4 interceptions with what they do trying to push the ball down the field is a bit of an anomaly. And so that plays into it as well.
I also wonder, however, as Chase Bryce is now in the ball game, the backup quarterback, he's looking to run it across the 20. And he will scamper ahead, take the hit, but he'll pick up the first down. Stopped by DeVere. I wonder if the standard that they set is what's really biting them unfairly right now. Forget about last year, just this season alone. Their numbers are really impressive. Obviously, 7-0 is one thing. 22 consecutive wins, on their way to a 23rd straight win, number 2 all-time in the ACC. Is it a little ridiculous, though, to expect them to win every game by 50 points? For Trevor Lawrence to go 25 for 25, 4 touchdowns every game. He's a sophomore.
It is ridiculous, especially when you say we're in the middle of the third quarter and he's already out of the football game. And we've been here before. They're quick to take him out and get other guys on the field. And that's the case with Travis Etienne. It's the case with Ross and Higgins. And, when you do that, you're not going to just always, have these – you're going to win the football game, but it's not always going to be as lopsided as people maybe want it to be. So I think they've responded extremely well, and I think Dabo's done a nice job of having his team just focus on, their standard of play and how they play and not what everyone else is saying.
He keeps talking about, there's a lot of football in front of them. Quick pass here to Powell. Now Powell able to bust a tackle and gain additional yards after the catch. The biggest poll is coming up in a little more than a week anyway.
And I think it's going to be hard as we watch Powell just get all kinds of separation on a slant and nearly take that one to the house. That Dabo talked about the credibility of his program and the track record. I don't know how you can ignore that. I really don't. Because even if you're not crazy about the opponents that Clemson has beat, they've been amazing.
Here's Sweeney. Will Sweeney off to the left side, knocked out of bounds. So he gets into the fray here for an 8-yard carry. Will typically listed as one of the wide receivers, 5'8", the junior. 2nd down and 2. For so many college football fans, it just feels like it's Clemson and Alabama. Alabama and Clemson, they have put themselves a league above in their own leagues. And a lot of people who believe that a team like Wake Forest could go into the SEC and knock off plenty of opponents.
Yeah, and I think that Dabo, would like to make that case, is that he feels like Clemson has separated themselves from the ACC. Alabama's done the same in the SEC. And, some of the brand name schools, like a Tennessee or a school like that, some of those brand name schools, maybe aren't as good as people think they are. And if they were playing in the ACC, wouldn't look all that different and maybe not even be competitive as some of the teams in the ACC. So you look at, I referenced this earlier, and Dabo brought it up in our meeting. 3 of the last 6 national champions, were from the ACC. And, you look at the 2018 national championship game, Clemson ran Alabama off the field.
Yes, they sure did. They blew them out. I know that shocked a lot of people, the final score, not necessarily the fact that Clemson won the football game, but they won it in such dominating fashion. Long pass to the end zone and incomplete. Dixon, the intended receiver, but incomplete.
What an awesome throw by Chase Bryce. He's got Lynn-J Dixon on John Lamont. We talked about Lamont in coverage, 240-pound middle linebacker. That's a matchup Clemson likes. And I'll say this, as we're heaping on praise of all the, the starters for Clemson, we've seen Chase Bryce in person 3 times now, Dave.
Impressive.
He's been great.
6'2", 230-pound sophomore in the pocket, throwing again, and broken up, incomplete. Intended for Cornell Powell and stopped by Sebastian, who's had a pretty good game. About 4.5 to go here in the third, 52-7. And Clemson with the giant lead. And Potter is going to come on now to attempt a field goal to add to it. And of course, Dabo Swinney got in the face of his kicker as well a couple of weeks ago. Going to attempt this one for 47 yards. And that one is up, and that one is no good. Clemson on top, 52-7. Last 2 weeks for Trevor Lawrence. Tonight, 16 out of 19, 275. Now, last week, tough start against Louisville. Dabo Swinney talked about that and how he improved after that following the game.
And what did they say to Brett Favre when he came off the field and he thrown it? What do you say to Brett Favre? Like, you don't have to say anything because they know. Like, oh my gosh, what was that? Just trying to do too much. He comes back and finishes 20 of 29, 3 touchdowns. And that's what great players do. I mean, and I love that. It's all about how you respond.
Just talking about how you respond and think about since those 2 interceptions at Louisville, because he finished that game 20 of 29. He was on absolute fire tonight. And I think he's talking about how he responds to the adversity. And really, he's a guy that faced no adversity really last year. When he came in and played and took over the starting job and only had 4 interceptions, and they win a national championship.
Yeah, but a lot of people kind of make that statement, and I agree with it, but they make that statement as if he had nothing to do with the no adversity. That meant he was incredibly clean when he played.
Correct. There's no doubt about that. But I think for all football players, whether it's Brett Favre, it could be Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Trevor Lawrence, you'll have games where you have a dumb decision that leads to an interception, and then what do you do? How do you respond from that? And clearly, head coach really impressed with his quarterback.
Rossell going up top, looking to connect. And that broken up, incomplete. Goodrich with the stop there. Let's get down to Katie.
Well, I've been watching Trevor Lawrence on the sideline after he came out, and he could easily sit back and relax after the performance he put up tonight, but he hasn't done that. He's been talking to Chase Bryce. He's been all in the quarterback huddle. He's engaged, and that's why people think that he's such a good leader and teammate for this team.
Yeah, they mentioned that last week too, Katie, after the second interception. He went up and down the line. He found his offensive line. He found the other guys in the offensive unit. And he tapped himself on the chest going up and down the line saying, those are on me. That's my mistake. You guys keep doing your thing. I'll catch up, basically. Racing back for it, Ross, trying to get back to the 5-yard line, but he's denied. 3:01 to go here in the third. 3 TD passes tonight.
Yeah, and a lot of times it was the receivers doing the work as he finds Overton in space. He's not able to get Overton down. Then it was Amari Rodgers. Similar play out on the perimeter. Let those wide receivers work. And then just an outstanding one on the corner route to Overton again. Keeps it high for his big wide receiver. The guys around him certainly help, but you do have to make good decisions, give them a chance with the football. He's certainly done that. And I do think that it is also impressive is we do see him in the attention to what's going on in the game when he's not in there.
Dixon rumbling across the 20-yard line.
That's important as a leader. He's quick. When Chase Bryce throws a touchdown pass, he's the first guy out there to congratulate him. So I'm talking to Tyson Pumachan, who we might see in this game. He's getting him ready, talking to him about what he might be dealing with when he's out there. And I think that that goes a long way with your group when your star player cares about the guys that are playing behind him.
Just got to wonder, do you have to wait until the college football playoffs to see him appear in the fourth quarter? I mean, is it actually going to be that long into the future before he plays that deep in a game?
Yeah, I mean, it played in the fourth corner of that North Carolina game, obviously, all the way through. But outside of that, Dave, you're right. You could go months without being in that environment. And, I don't know that Dabo is all that concerned about it. He's been in critical moments before, and he's responded well, as has Chase Price, for that matter.
And as you mentioned, he showed up in the North Carolina game, which they won. And you wonder if they're also paying for what was a road victory, by the way, against North Carolina. They did win the football game, and yet that's when the slip in the polls, however slight it might be, that's when that began for the Tigers.
Yeah, and if you just think about what's happened over the last couple of weeks with Wisconsin and what would happen, today with Oklahoma.
Yeah, Oklahoma got beat today.
I think what's frustrating for a coach is that when you win the game, Herm Edwards said you played to win the game. It should matter.
I do remember that vividly. Rencher on the toss. Taken down by Borgenson, but that's a first down, a 10-yard pickup. They're moving the chains again. And with the second unit in there. Coming up on 1 minute to go in the third quarter. All Tigers tonight on a homecoming evening here at Clemson, South Carolina. Price with a handoff. As Dixon takes a hit, Richardson, actually Rencher taking a hit. Richardson with the stop. He picks up 3 yards. Second down and 7.
Situations like this are so critical for football programs. I mean, these are valuable reps. Think of the number of reps that so many backups are getting. It's so healthy for your program, breeds competition. It keeps guys involved. It keeps them energized throughout the marathon of the season.
Price to go airborne and going deep and overthrown over the top of Frank Ladson. So 20 seconds to go in the third.
A few weeks back when we were talking to Brent Venables, he was talking about how he feels like these teams finish strong since he's been at Clemson because of the culture of playing so many guys. He says, you don't have the guys that aren't that aren't starters check out just because they're only doing scouting. They stay invested because they know they're going to get an opportunity, and he thinks it helps them play their best football late.
Well, it certainly happened last year, didn't it? As they were playing their best at the very end. Those last half dozen games or so. He connects with Chase. And that's a 9-yard gain. So that will do it for the third quarter. Clemson continues to rack up big yards and a lot of touchdowns, leading it 52-7 as we go to the fourth here at Death Valley. Clemson great Levon Kirkland was honored. Two-time All-American linebacker here at Clemson before the game. Got a great ovation. Tim, a former teammate of yours.
Yeah, I was with him at the Philadelphia Eagles. He actually played with my brother in Seattle as well. Obviously drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers. What was amazing about Levon Kirkland is he was up near 300 pounds. He's playing middle linebacker in the NFL. Was still a good guy in coverage. And
looks good now.
He looks great now and was a great player. And as you said, Dave, what a response from folks here at Clemson when he was honored.
I got to tell you, this is our third game this season at Clemson. Others have talked about this in the past. The fans here are among the very best in college football, coast to coast. They're amazing. To honor a player like that, who played a while ago, incidentally. And the response we saw when they were doing the Disney film at halftime here, I mean, it was like a real game. It was like the final 2 minutes of a tie game against South Carolina.
You're right. They participated as if it was a critical third down. And yeah, I mean, they know when to be loud. They know when to be quiet. They certainly show up in full force. And
by the way, they know how to cheer a winner, too, because they've won 40 of their last 41 home games. So they are well served Only lost there 2016 against Pitt in the final seconds on a field goal.
You just think about what a recruiting tool it is to have, kids come visit the school.
Allen hauls that one in and goes out of bounds.
The stadium is just full of orange. I mean, it's a high school kid. I don't care if you play at a big program, and obviously they're recruiting talented kids here. But when you walk into the stadium and it's packed and there's a sea of orange, and it's impressive. It's impressive, and it helps you. And so that's why you always hear coaches asking people to come out, and I'm sure Dabo and his staff appreciate the support here.
Well, it is one of our absolute favorite places to visit. Not only for the football, the environment, the culture here. The restaurants are pretty darn good, too. And we've found most of them on our 3 trips, or certainly a lot of them. That one incomplete, intended for Chase. And Clemson continues to pile up impressive wins. They will go to 8-0, 6-0 in the ACC. Through 8 weeks of football in the ACC, it's the most competitive conference in the country. The average margin of victory, a little less than 2 touchdowns. That's the lowest of any Power 5 conference. And that's with Clemson doing what they're doing to people.
Well, we've been a part of a few of those. We've seen some close ones, and obviously it was a close one today with North Carolina and Duke.
That one decided on an interception. Overton heading for the end zone. He is in for a touchdown. The Tigers strike again. DeAndre Overton, the senior from Greensboro, North Carolina. 34 yards and a touchdown strike. Boy, up and down, one wide receiver after another. That's nothing new for Clemson getting into the end zone.
It's nothing new for Clemson, but it just goes to show you how hard it is to defend these guys, because you want to focus on the 2 wide receivers that everyone's talking about. You throw Amari Rodgers in there, and we've seen TJ Chase make a play. And how about the night that DeAndre Overton is having? It's been incredible. A little wide receiver screen, good blocking by the big guys up front, getting guys down, and just an easy walk into the end zone for his 3rd touchdown of the night.
59-7, Clemson. Look at Trevor Lawrence now coming out. He's been out of the game for a long time to celebrate with Overton.
Love it. It's great leadership. It's one of the reasons all the guys on the team respond to him, and shows good character, shows the culture of the program.
Yeah, huge smile on his face for a teammate. Been a very clean game, very few penalties. And obviously the Tigers offense has been in high gear, and DeAndre Overton, career highs, 119 yards and receptions, 3 touchdowns.
So congratulations to whoever in the office pool had Overton with 3 touchdowns as the leading touchdown receiver. It's just incredible. It really is. I mean, you could list 5 guys that could have a night like that, maybe more, at the receiver position, and just Overton's turn.
Well, Matt Vallecci, the freshman out of New York State, is now into the ballgame, running the offense for Boston College, given the score with about 13 and a half minutes to go. Tonight, where we did see A.J. Dillon set the Boston College record for rushing yards in a career. He's number 1 now all time. He did score 1 touchdown. So he remains 1 away from the all-time record for Boston College touchdowns by a running back. That one incomplete. But not enough offense, certainly tonight. You knew it would be straight uphill, not only in this environment, but just against Clemson with all the weapons and all the talent. And this is the best that you and I have seen the Tigers play top to bottom, right, this year.
There's no question this is their best performance. They're kind of a full team effort when you think about what they did defensively, how they played offensively. A much cleaner performance than we've seen in the past.
Flowers wrestle down. So that'll bring up 4th down, picks up 5 yards. Under 13 minutes remaining. The Tigers have had some big, impressive wins. This is going to be probably number one on the list so far this season. Boston College coming into the contest at 4-3, 2-2 in the ACC. And with a tremendous running attack. But it was thwarted pretty much immediately by the defense of the Tigers. Here comes the 9th punt of the night for the Eagles. Well, Sweeney back there. And we'll see that one go out of bounds with 12 minutes to go, 59-7.
ACC Network Primetime Football is presented by Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance.
It's been a great homecoming night for the Clemson Tigers. They've piled up 59 points to this point. 59-7. Trevor Lawrence has long since stepped aside, and the substitutions have been going for a while here for the Tigers and a few for the Eagles as well. And Chase Bryce remains in the game, the 6'2 sophomore out of Grayson, Georgia. And Dabo Swinney has said to us in our conversations he believes this guy will play in the NFL.
Which is remarkable. He's fulfilled a nice role for this football team, and a lot of people believe that he could be a starter elsewhere.
Flag on the play as Sweeney goes out of bounds. But very few penalties.
Pass interference. Number 2, offense. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
That's Frank Ladson. Flag for pass interference. 12:05 to play.
And because Sweeney is downfield, so he's across the line of scrimmage, you can't make contact with the defender. If that would have been a little bit of a bubble and Sweeney would have been behind the line of scrimmage, you're allowed to block downfield on a throw that doesn't cross the line of scrimmage, which is why that's offensive pass interference.
1st and 16. Boston College 3 flags. Clemson 3. So a clean game in that regard. Very few flags. And a handoff for Malusi as he gets the carry. Des Malusi, the freshman out of Naples, Florida. The number 4 back as he picks up 8 yards to bring up a 2nd down and 8. And Chase Bryce running the offense with another handoff. And Malusi again with the carry. And a stop by Tate Haynes. Now, Boston College had been coming off a very encouraging win, 45-24. They really beat up on NC State, but their running game was king. They got tremendous games out of the 2-star backs, Dillon and Bailey. They combined for over 400 yards. And even though early on, Dillon had some very, very good carries and some healthy gains. And one very memorable one. This one a long bomb, but that's going to be incomplete, intended for Ladson. They never really got that running attack anywhere close to what they had against NC State when it mattered the most in that first quarter.
Yeah, and I think it was hard to do that because they weren't able to get stops defensively. And talking to Steve Adazio and his staff prior to the game, their main concern was defensively. They feel like they have some players on the defensive side of the ball that are going to be good. But they're young and inexperienced, and we saw the speed differential really show its head. And so, offensively, the first 3 drives, you have 11 plays for 24 yards. Then all of a sudden you're playing catch-up, and we talked about it. They're just not built to do that.
Kobe White trying to spin free. Did not get out to the 45-yard line. Weekday mornings on the ACC Network. It's Packer and Durham exclusively talking ACC sports. From football to field hockey, they cover everything every Monday through Friday from 7 to 10 a.m. Eastern right here on ACC Network, also on the ESPN app. Now, pregame, Mark Packer was gunning for Katie George's gig on the sideline.
Hello, welcome. We're live from Death Valley. We have a new sideline reporter, and he's not going to last long. Back to Katie.
It was that quick. He predicted his own end very, very, very quickly.
Well done, and I think that Packer really like he's kind of embraced being a part of this group. There's a lot of people vying for other jobs.
Yes.
I mean, let's be honest. That's what's happened here.
Yeah,
you know?
I think Mark's stepping in. Yeah, he's about to take your headset.
Here's what he's doing. He just wanted to come in to make sure that you knew that you were invited as a regular guest.
I am a regular guest now. This week, finally I got on the show. We had a great time. We're going out for beer later.
Oh, look at that.
We may tip one. Yeah. we had a great time, Katie. Katie, you're invited.
I thank you, Dave. I appreciate that. I mean, I take enough crap from Packer on his show each week, and then he comes onto my turf and he wants to take over. Yeah. Unbelievable.
No, I know you guys are very tight. You guys are very, you're a regular on the show, and you're very, very popular.
You're about to be, OB.
I am.
You're about to be.
Hey, look, and I've got basketball season coming up, so the guys and I are going to spend a lot of time together. With Syracuse and Virginia coming up to kick off the season on the ACC network. Looking forward to that one as well. Another live look into our booth. And Mark just hanging with us. I mean, he can work both ends of the day, man.
I mean,
doesn't matter.
Do either of you guys sleep? I mean, seriously,
Apparently not. They know where the action is. Garwo with the carry. Inside 10 minutes to go here. As the Tigers are romping 59-7.
I didn't know Packer traveled anywhere without the dogs, that we see on Packer and Durham. Normally I thought the dogs just traveled with them wherever he went.
A night off. On the handoff again and a big hit. Garwo nowhere to go as Mike Jones said hello. I'll tell you what, I think that is a very, very tough gig. It's not something that I could ever do. Have you ever, been one of those guys who got up at like 4 o'clock in the morning and went into work? Especially if you've got to, be on the air, you've got to be sharp, you've got to be topical, you've got to be funny. There's a lot of pressure on you to do that job. I've done a lot of things in broadcasting. That's one thing that I would never want to do. You got to know your limits. Garwo hauls that one in and taken down by Balin Spector as he gains 4 yards.
What you said when you have to be smart and funny, like I was already out. It didn't matter what hour that was, Dave. It just was out.
Here's a Packer and Durham fan right here.
I think she's listening to a podcast right now. Oh, by the way, early start on the Halloween candy.
Oh, yeah.
I see you. Well done.
Somebody's going to be up late. Someone's not going Betty by when mom and dad wants with all that sugar. Well, that's one way to kill the second half, but Clemson with a very impressive night here tonight in front of what was about 80,000 fans at the outset. Boston College has spent a big chunk of the night punting, and they do it again. 59-7 in full command. The Habitat for Humanity Homecoming House is a Clemson homecoming tradition. Hundreds of students, staff, and community members volunteer their time. It's built on Bowman Field and then moved to its permanent location at the conclusion of homecoming festivities. And it will be owned by a local family who need a safe and secure home to call their own. Very well done. And perfect for homecoming.
What a great idea. Great execution. And
Tigers, it doesn't seem to matter who is in the contest. This time it's Michael Dukes piling up big yards. That play goes for 14. So whoever's in the game has been delivering for Dabo Swinney once again. The handoff again for Dukes, trying to spin free but can't do it. He is stopped by Barlow. Etienne had an outstanding first half. He's been out for a long time, a third straight game rushing for 275 or more yards for Clemson. First time they've done that since 2000. 650 total yards of offense tonight.
And Etienne, from talking to the coaches, they really have been impressed with how he's kind of asserted a leadership role in the running back room with those guys. And I think it's good for Travis Etienne to have success on the field and then see the guys behind him have success, but you just see what a complete back that he is. He powered down near the goal line the first time. Then there's a second touchdown, similar thing, and just such a good job for a guy that many people look at as a speed back. He does a great job of running behind his pads with power. We saw him in the passing game. That's something that seems like they want to do a little bit more of with him. And, really, really an outstanding player that I think sometimes can get lost in the shuffle because of the great wide receivers and quarterback.
It's hard to believe. A guy who had 192 yards rushing a year ago, another big night tonight, I should say a week ago. And against Boston College 2 years ago, he had his first career 100-yard game. So he tends to beat up on a lot of people, and BC is one of those on the list. 4th down and 4, a rare punt for the Tigers tonight. Andrew Strader back deep for Boston College. A little more than 6 minutes to play here. Many of the fans heading for the exits and trying to beat the rain. The light rain is starting to fall. Strader off to the left side, still on his feet before he's dragged down. On a fine return. They haven't had many highlights like that tonight. 59-7, Clemson. Welcome back to ACC Network. Primetime football presented by Geico. All Tigers tonight. Clemson rolling 59-7 over Boston College. And rolling to an 8-0 record and 23 consecutive ACC wins. Number 2 all-time in the conference. Another famous number 7 back in there.
Go ahead and say it, Dave. Let's just be honest. You've been right there. You wanted to say it. Really big shoes to fill. To wear that number.
To wear that number.
That number.
That's the Hasselbeck number at Boston College.
I know you wanted to say it. Just it's okay. You can do it.
You've been out of school for a while, but you're still number 10 all time.
Hanging
in passing yards.
Barely hanging on to the top 10. Barely.
Not too shabby though. Garwal with the carry. So you have big shoes for Matt Vellecci out of New York State, 6'5". He's a freshman. As we mentioned at the top of tonight's game, Anthony Brown, who is 7th all-time in BC passing yards. He suffered a big blow and they lost him. They get a fumble here, and he jumped on it. Vellecci getting it back, but I know it's an offense that relies so much on 2 outstanding backs. A.J. Dillon's a great back. David Bailey is a great back, but that's a great loss for them.
Couldn't agree with you more. Anthony Brown's a good football player, and he's been a good leader for the team. And he's a guy that's thrown for nearly 5,000 yards in his career at Boston College. And he's had a couple injuries, and went down on a non-contact injury. And I think not having him as much confidence as they maybe felt like they had in Dennis Grissel, I think it was a difference for them tonight not having Anthony Brown.
Sweeney with a fair catch. 4:32 remaining. We take a look at tonight's player spotlight, brought to you by Geico.
They do it different ways, but both these backs have been outstanding at their respective schools. And A.J. Dillon, who, record-tying touchdown, in his career, the walk-in, and then the yardage record right here. And I was saying earlier, a lot of good backs at Boston College, good offensive lineman. His mom, Jessica, loves it. He even gets the high five from, look at that, Mike Vrabel, whose son Tyler is the left tackle, gets a high five from him. And he's had a nice career. It's great that his mom was able to see that moment and in person and experience that. But really the night has been about this Clemson offense and Travis Etienne.
Great to see Mike Vrabel here, 3-time Super Bowl champ. They're taking a look to see how many players Clemson had on the field.
Let's count them up. 1, 2, 3.
There is no foul for an illegal substitution. First down.
They got 11 if we count them up here. Oh, there they go. They had about 30 on the sideline. We joke about it a little bit, and I've even asked the question to the coaches is, you have this situation where you're playing 110 guys, just even managing the substitutions. It's somewhat remarkable that you don't see that happen late in games.
It's not unusual with a score like this at this point in the game for Dabo Swinney to go to a kid and say, I want you in to play wide receiver. And the kid might say, well, Coach, I'm a defensive back. And he'll go, well, yeah, I know what position you play. I want you to be a wide out here. Just go block somebody or something like that.
Yeah, and you look at Batson, who really wears number 12, but he plays on some special teams, so they got him in number 92 because they don't want duplicate numbers.
Yeah, you don't see this every day, and he's going to carry it, getting across the 20-yard line. A 92 at quarterback.
I mean, his father is Batson's father is the strength coach here, and he, like you were saying, they play guys in different spots. So even though he's a quarterback, they will have him play on some special teams. It's not unusual for them to do that. And so now you're wearing a number 92 jersey, playing quarterback.
And getting a carry to bring up 3rd down and 3. They'll hand it off here. Clemson staying on the ground. And Lucy with the carry.
And let's be honest, Dave, this is one of your favorite things, is when guys enter the game
yeah,
not wearing the number they're assigned.
that they're supposed to be wearing.
Just making your job easy.
Right. That's when we have the most fun. 59-7. If you're just joining us, the Stars were the ones who really made it a runaway victory here for the Tigers, and that includes Lawrence, the quarterback. Trevor Lawrence was 16 of 19, 275 yards, 3 touchdowns.
And look at you got a new star. Batson there, number. And I got to be honest with you, if you're a quarterback, you can't even play well wearing number 92. Like, it's impossible. Like, you can't do it. Right. I mean, it's not fair.
Because everyone's looking at the number and going, what are you doing taking snaps here?
That whole, look good, play good. Like, you can't look good wearing number. Trevor Lawrence can't even look good wearing number 92 at quarterback.
No, he gets it done at 16, that's for sure. But 92, questionable. We mentioned ETN with 3 touchdowns tonight. DeAndre Overton had the best night of his career, the wide receiver. He was brilliant as he hauled in 119 yards worth of receptions and 3 touchdowns, a career high. Duke's now in at the running back spot. Run another play off to the left here. And that was Drew Swinney. So the coach's 2 sons getting in as we talk about the Clemson leaders, and man, did they perform.
They performed big time. Started with Trevor Lawrence. He was outstanding. Made good decisions. Did a great job distributing the ball to a bunch of different players. Travis Etienne ran the ball well, caught it well. And then the surprise of the night, really, DeAndre Overton, who, was able to have a couple, catch and runs and then a big play down the field. Not surprising to see so many people contribute. A little bit surprising to see Overton have the type of night that he had, but it's a great example of what you typically see from this Clemson offense.
Well, to your point, he had not had a touchdown. He had 3 tonight. He had 4 receptions all season long, but they really targeted him. And he had some back-breaking plays against the Boston College defense. And here's where we go next week. Virginia against North Carolina. UNC hanging on in the final moments to pull out a victory earlier tonight against the Duke Blue Devils on an interception in the final seconds. So as we take a look at the Coastal standings in the ACC, it's Virginia followed by North Carolina.
And they just kind of continue to beat each other up is really what's happened and why it's such a big one. And really kind of when you look at, how Pittsburgh was playing, it was such a disappointing loss for them this week. And, it'll come down to the end. And shoot, last time we were in North Carolina, we saw a good one. Freshman Sam Howell come from behind victory against Miami. And
yeah, he threw a great pass at the end of that game, a touchdown pass that won it for them at Chapel Hill. So we look forward to another visit to North Carolina. The attendance here at Death Valley tonight, 81,081. Packing in for homecoming. They saw Lawrence have, well, an outstanding game, and they're used to that. A lot of guys did, though, for Dabo Swinney's team, and they will walk away with a very impressive victory over Boston College. That makes it 23 consecutive ACC wins, 23 consecutive wins for the Clemson Tigers. And they win this one going away and then some, 59-7. So 8-0 for the 8th time in school history, and the 5th time now under Dabo Swinney, who has it rolling. Overton really, really good tonight as he hauls in 3 touchdown passes in the win. As the fans do after every victory here, they take to the field to mingle in with the players before they head to the locker room at Death Valley.
Dave, you alluded to it about, winning games but falling in the polls and, putting an impressive performance out there as we get further into the season. Such a convincing win, such an impressive win. And then I think it is important for Clemson for their stars to play well. And their stars certainly played well, especially in the offensive side of the ball.
And singing the Clemson alma mater here as we look at the scene from Death Valley, 59-7. Over 81,000 in attendance. Boston College falling to 4-4 on the season, 2-3 in the ACC. The Tigers now 8-0, 6-0 in the conference. And they have defeated Boston College for the 9th consecutive time. In fact, Clemson faced BC 3 times at Fenway Park, believe it or not. Winning 26-13 in 1941. That was 13 days after the great Ted Williams had finished the season hitting .406 for the Red Sox. So this goes a long, long way back, this particular series. But it has certainly been dominated here in recent years by the men in orange. And they win this one impressive in many ways, 59-7. Well, they're making the announcement that Memorial Stadium will close in 30 minutes.
You look at the escort that Trevor's getting out, kind of similar work to his offensive line. His offensive line gave him tonight.
Yeah, plenty of protection. He was so sharp in the time he was in the game. 16 out of 19, 275 yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. And somewhere down there, Katie George along with Coach Swinney.
Thanks, Dave. Dabo, you said you wanted to see this team get better with each week. Almost 700 yards in offense, only 7 points allowed. Where does this performance rank for you?
Well, this was probably our best game, and it should be, So, I wanted to see us get better and improve and get the win, but I also wanted to see us really kind of continue to hit our stride. I think the last few weeks we've been real close to having a game like this. The last 2 or 3 games, and tonight we kind of put it all together. Really unbelievable first half. Just got the ball to a lot of different people. We had a lot of guys step up. A lot of guys got opportunity tonight, but hats off to the guys in the trenches because that's where it all starts. We knew this team would challenge us physically. Our guys were ready for it tonight.
Your quarterback has been criticized some for his decisions this season, and yet he seemed bulletproof out there. What did you think of his efficiency?
He's been great all year. He's had some bad decisions, and unfortunately, that's all anybody wants to talk about. They don't want to talk about them 100 good decisions he's made. So, he had a great game. He just continues to play well, and he took care of the ball tonight. He didn't make a couple, he's had a couple boneheaded plays, and he didn't do that. He was very clean, and again, he's done that all year. He's just had a few bad plays, and again, that's just the nature of his position and where we are, and that's all you see is when he makes a negative play. But he's human, so he just came back and had a great game tonight, and I just thought our mindset was awesome to see. The guys were ready to play. They were excited to play. And the physicality of the game that was coming in here, they were really looking forward to it. So, hey, we're 8-0 and move on to the next one.
Thanks for the time.
You got it. Thank you.
Trevor, I don't even know where to begin. DeAndre Overton, Travis Etienne. What's it like for you running this offense with so many playmakers around you?
That's great. I mean, it definitely takes a lot of pressure off of me, just knowing there's so many guys out there that can make plays. Just to, my job is just to get it to them and let them do what they do.
You were extremely efficient, 16 of 19, 3 touchdowns. For you, do you feel like this was the best performance you've had this season?
I think it's one of them. I think the first half of the Florida State game, I think I played really well. But tonight, I feel like I played clean and made good decisions, took care of the ball, and I feel like it's one of my better games for sure.
Thanks for the time. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, Katie, thank you very much. Dave O'Brien, Tim Hasselbeck back upstairs. When you hear an interview like that with Katie and you hear his responses, there's a lot of polish with this kid. I mean, that sounded like a professional athlete to me, and I know that he's made some interceptions. He's been intercepted 8 times this season, but people can talk all they want about that. He is a great, great talent, and he had an outstanding game tonight.
He was outstanding. He has so much poise. Right before that interview, he's listening to his coach say he's made some boneheaded decisions, and he seems unfazed by it, quite honestly. Yeah. And I think that's why his coaches compared him to Brett Favre. It's why I think they're not overly concerned about the fact that he's made some bad decisions, because he has made a ton of great decisions, and tonight was a great example of him making great decisions and getting the ball to so many of his playmakers. Clemson
stays perfect. It started with the downhill run, and then he took over along with Etienne, 3 touchdowns. Our final score at Clemson 59, Boston College 7. Coming up next, it's all ACC. We say so long from Clemson, South Carolina.